get sold down in the job. But take your time.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremony. I bring greetings from His Excellency Mr. Edward Kallon, UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator, who deeply regrets that he was not able to join this August gathering to make remarks and to share perspectives. So I will be delivering his remarks on his behalf. Our guest of honor, the Deputy Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, Honorable Advocate Mercy Bina, the Acting PVO Registrar here present, other senior government officials here, the Executive Officer of Masvingo Rural District Council, represented by Mr. Victor Charumbira, the Deputy Director, Financial Intelligence Unit, Mr. Tichafa Chigaba, fellow NGO board members here present, the NGO Executive Director, Mr. Ernest Nyimai, the Head of Governance and Social Sectors for the EU Delegation to Zimbabwe, Ms. Maria Honukome, other representatives of development partners and donors that are present here, representatives of private sector and other stakeholders here present, directors of civil society organizations and leaders that are present here, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. It is a pleasure to join you here today at the 2025 NGO Directors Summer Retreat in Masvingo. I bring warm greetings from the United Nations country team and our deep appreciation for the continued dedication of the Zimbabwe's NGOs and civil society to advancing inclusive economic and democratic governance, social progress, human rights, and in general, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This assembly, an annual convening of over 120 high-level stakeholders, is a powerful demonstration of Zimbabwe's civic energy, creativity, and commitment to shared progress. Thank you to Mr. Nyimai for inviting the UN to share perspectives at the NGO's Directors Retreat, which is a clear demonstration of the strong partnership between the UN and NGO. The theme for this year's retreat, Navigating New Frontiers, Development Financing and Civic Space in Transition, and the sub-theme to which I speak today, Repositioning Civil Society as a Strategic Partner in the National Development and Humanitarian Response, could not be more timely. We meet at a time of accelerating change in the architecture of development finance, in regulatory and policy landscapes, in the forms and tools of civic engagement, and in the very nature of risks facing our communities. These transitions present risks, yes, but also opportunities that civil society is uniquely placed to seize. NGOs and civil society organizations are not an add-on to development and humanitarian action, but they are central actors. You operate at the intersection of communities and public institutions. You translate national strategies into localized realities, identify marginalized voices, mobilize social capital, innovate service delivery, and hold systems accountable. In crisis, you often are the first responders and the last to leave. In development, You are the bridge between policy intent and human impact. Given this role, repositioning NGOs and civil society means three things. Firstly, enhancing your capacity to contribute strategically. 2, securing an enabling environment in which you can operate safely and freely. And lastly, ensuring that finance and partnerships are designed to amplify, not to marginalize, your comparative advantages. Colleagues and friends, with that note, allow me to share my perspectives on shaping an enabling environment for a robust NGO civil CSO sector in Zimbabwe. First, civic space is non-negotiable. The enabling environment for CSOs must protect freedom of association, assembly, and expression while fostering a constructive engagement with government, the private sector, and international actors. Where civic space is constrained, societies lose resilience. Where civic space is vibrant, innovation and accountability thrive. As UN, our engagement with government partners have been for a continued time building of transparent, predictable regulatory frameworks that recognize the legitimacy of civil society's role. Simplified registration processes, clear tax and reporting regimes, and legal protections against harassment are practical steps that build trust and reduce transaction costs. Equally, CSOs must continue to strengthen governance, transparency, and adherence to ethical standards because credibility is your strongest currency. Secondly, development finance is shifting. Traditional donor flows are evolving alongside new domestic resource mobilization efforts. Social investment, impact finance, and blended financing mechanisms.
Okay.
To remain effective, CSOs must diversify revenue streams while safeguarding their independence and mission. The UN stands ready to support capacity building for financial management, partnership development, and results-based planning. We encourage NGOs, CSOs to explore innovative financing, pooled funds, social bonds, public-private partnerships, and intermediary vehicles that can scale effective local solutions. At the same time, donors and finance actors must adapt by simplifying compliance to reduce burdens on small organizations, support predictable multi-year funding, and invest in core capacities rather than only short-term projects. Third, strategic partnerships must move beyond transactional relationships to genuine co-creation. The UN seeks partnerships where civil society is involved from design through to monitoring and evaluation, not merely as implementers, but as equal partners in the setting priorities and shaping interventions. This means joint risk assessments, shared accountability frameworks, and flexible funding that allows adaptation to evolving realities. In humanitarian responses, in an effort to adopt the humanitarian reset, localization must be more than rhetoric. We need mechanisms that channel resources directly to local responders, including NGOs and CSOs, accessing the UN Central Emergency Response Fund, strengthen their leadership in coordination fora, and build surge capacity within national and community organizations. In development programming, CSOs should be central to social dialogue, implementation of national development plans, and monitoring progress against national commitments and human rights obligations. Fourth, capacity matters. Investing in organizational development, governance, financial systems, monitoring and evaluation, advocacy strategy, digital security, and safeguarding is critical. The UN and partners can provide technical assistance, but sustainable capacity is built through long-term mentorship, South-South learning, and peer networks. I encourage NGO and member organizations to intensify peer exchange, incubate promising practices within Zimbabwe, and build platforms for shared services that reduce duplication and transaction costs. Technology and innovation should be harnessed responsibly. Digital tools can expand outreach, enhance transparency, and improve service delivery. But they can also introduce risks to data, privacy, and security. Capacity building in digital literacy and protection is therefore a priority. Fifth, advancing inclusive governance and human rights is important. Repositioning civil society as a strategic partner requires a rights-based approach. Gender equality, inclusion of youth, persons with disabilities, and protection of vulnerable groups must be central to program design and advocacy. CSOs can amplify marginalized voices in national languages and help translate international human rights commitments into local realities. The UN recommits to working with civil society to support evidence-based policy making, participatory budgeting processes, and community-led monitoring of public services. Together, we can promote economic, social, and democratic governance that is responsive, accountable, and rooted in dignity for all. Colleagues and friends, to move from the intent to impact, I propose 5 practical actions we can pursue together. 1. Establish a Zimbabwe CSOs UN Partnership Compact that outlines modalities for joint planning, financing, and accountability. Number 2, create a pooled local fund to channel flexible, predictable support to community-led organizations and help scale proven local solutions. Number 3, scale capacity building initiatives for financial management, digital security, safeguarding, advocacy, using a combination of direct support and peer learning networks. 4, convene regular multi-stakeholder policy dialogues, including government, private sector, and finance actors to co-design regulatory improvements and sustainable financing instruments for sustainable development goals. And number 5, launch a national civic space monitoring mechanism led by civil society with UN technical support to track progress and expose barriers to inclusive engagement within the overall commitment to achieving sustainable development goals. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenges before us are complex, but Zimbabwe has shown remarkable resilience and ingenuity. NGO civil society have been instrumental in that resilience. If repositioned, better resourced, and more fully integrated into national strategies, your organizations will accelerate progress across development and humanitarian fronts. The United Nations stand ready to work alongside you, to listen, to support, and to partner. as we collectively navigate these new frontiers. Let us seize this moment to deepen trust, innovate responsibly, and build a future in which every Zimbabwean can thrive. I wish you a productive retreat, rich in dialogue and actionable in outcomes. Thank you very much.